Radiant team ban.
Alright guys, we are back with the next series of the day, and it is Gambit Esports versus Vega Squadron. This is going to be one of the more interesting series in the CIS regional qualifiers. I am Matt Kingsdota, and once again, let's get on the way. As Vega Squadron, that's one of the teams that maybe you imagine could do some damage. Gambit Esports, for their own sake, though, that is definitely not a team to be messed with necessarily. So it's gonna be a good one. I mean, I haven't really seen any of these two teams at least in the latest little couple of weeks, month, stuff like that. So we'll see what they have prepared for the CIS regional qualifiers. I mean, both of these teams, that's at least Vega Squadron, that's been a given that they would get invited, and Gambit, they've also done well. So they're probably prepared more than other teams might have. The last series we watched was the two open qualifier teams. When you're an open qualifier team, you don't really prepare too much for any of the other close qualifier teams or anything like that. You're pretty much just, if you get through, then you take it one step at a time, right? But the teams that have actually been invited, which is these two teams, that, well, you have more time to think about what you want to do against each team and whatnot. So let's see. Clockwork and Nyx gets banned out by the side of Gambit Esports, and Vega Squadron, they ban out the IO as well as the Sand King. So once again, double Roma being removed from the second pick team, and IO from the side of Vega. I mean, I guess some teams just don't like to play against IO. There's not really much else to say about it. I guess especially if you have like a wombo combo lineup in mind, if you want to go for some heroes that initiate, they want to get a kill quickly, then playing against IO can always be very frustrating. And whenever you see a team that plays well with IO, that's used to playing with IO, they can do a lot of things with it. Like, you can both use it in an aggressive way, you can use it to split push, you can use it to save people from team fights, you can use it to outnumber people in certain situations where you just move around as 3 people, and then suddenly you have an IO relocate and then you're 5. So it's just a hard thing to play around. Night Stalker gets first picked by Vega Squadron. So they get the vision abusing hero, the nighttime hero. That's well, already we see why. I don't know, man. First pick Night Stalker's a tad interesting to me. If the team plays it a lot, then I can understand it. It's definitely a good position for a hero. And considering both Sand King, Nyx, and Clockwork is banned, it's like one of the last meta position 4 heroes that is in the pool. So for that matter, I understand why you would first pick the Night Stalker, but then you get into this situation from Gambit where they just pick the Lycan, and it's not necessarily a counter to the Night Stalker, but it's very, very good against Night Stalker, since you abuse the fact that the Night Stalker wants to fight around nighttime, and he makes it nighttime more often. And the Lycan, he's more than happy to be in the nighttime, where the Howl is more powerful, gives more HP, more damage, and improved night vision as well with the shapeshift, so you actually kind of counteract the night vision that you get reduced from the darkness by having more. I'm not sure how exactly it works, because the darkness reduces the enemy's vision to a fixed amount, right? But I'm not sure if shapeshift like cancels that, or how the interaction works exactly.
10 seconds remaining. Dire team ban.
All right.
10 seconds remaining.
See, Tree and Protector as well from the side of Gambit Esports, Bat Rider from the side of Vega Squadron. So I like that. That's like, you pick the Lycan into the Night Stalker, so Gambit Esports, they think to themselves, they get a nice little pick into the Night Stalker. They Tree and Protector as well to get some roots going, because Night Stalker is a very fast hero, and Overgrowth can always work. If you like playing with Tree, then Tree is always a useful hero. Bat Rider, though, that's you see 2 heroes where Bat Rider's amazing against both of them. So normally you would never really see a second pick Bat Rider, You would always see it like as a 4th or 5th pick or something like that, 3rd pick at the bare minimum. But
Radiant team ban.
when you see Tree and Lycan, that's 2 heroes where the Bat Rider is amazing against both of them. The Night Stalker giving you extra vision if he ever gets an Acronyms makes his life much easier as well. So I like this opening from Vega Squadron. It's like you pick Night Stalker, you get countered by the Lycan, and then you counter the Lycan by picking the Bat, because it's first of all, it's a very good lane against Lycan. And second of all, well, you know, lasso against Lycan. So I like what I'm seeing. Gambit, they go for the Jakiro as well as the Troll ban in the second phase. They don't want to deal with any bashing heroes against Lycan. Troll against Lycan is one of those matchups that's actually, it can go both ways, but in most cases the Troll is the win. Like if you have even net worth, you assume that the Lycan doesn't just snowball out of control. Then the Troll is usually the better hero, because you just need the first bash, and then every other bash comes in a few seconds. So that's always good. Jakiro, good against the Tree and Protector, of course. You can burn trees very easily with a macro pyre, so you can get him out of where he's hiding. Also here that can control Lycan fairly easily with the Ice Path and whatnot. Nature's Prophet and Darkseid got banned out from Vega Squadron, so they're targeting the offlane, making sure that Gambit has some limited picks left in the arsenal. I'm not sure why you would ban Nature's Prophet when you have Bat Rider, but maybe they're just worried about being split pushed too much, since right now Night Stalker, Bat Rider, that's fighting heroes. They don't really push towers that well. They want to just fight. They want to force initiations. They want to roam around and force fights. So you don't want to deal with like a Lycan split pushing, a Tree split pushing, and then a mid hero also hitting towers. That's not a situation you want to be in. So they just make sure that's not gonna be happening. Bane being picked up by Gambit. Strong support here in the lane to just make up for the fact that the Lycan versus Bat Rider is not the best of matchups. So they need to make sure the position 5 support and position 4 supports can salvage the lane if it gets difficult, especially if the Night Stalker starts with the Bat Rider, which I would assume is going to be the case. As they want to put as much pressure as possible. They pick up the Legion Commander for the off lane. Good against the Bat Rider, of course. You force him to almost always use the lasso on the Legion, or the Legion can just purge the lasso off. So it gets pretty annoying to play Bat Rider when you have to worry about who you can like if you don't want to lasso and then it gets purged instantly. You need to always get a good lasso off, otherwise the hero is just not in the game, more or less. So in most cases, in this situation, if you don't pick off someone, or you see the Legion Commander being out of position, then you pretty much just have to go for the Legion, or you have to wait for him to go in and use Duel, and then you initiate on someone else, perhaps, but that's kind of awkward. Static Storm is going to be a nice teamfight spell. Kinetic Field, of course, another tool that is very good against the Lycan, keeping him in place despite his insane movement speed with his ultimate online. Razor gets picked up as well, so amazing laning here against Legion. I like that. They want to put as much pressure as they can on the Lycan, so they put a safe. They pick a safe lane hero that doesn't need any babysitting. And I mean, Razor, he can 1v1 the Legion Commander without having any help from the supports and still win the lane pretty easily. So that is going to be what we most likely see happening. They could go for the Legion Tree duel off lane, something that we have seen a lot. Not that much recently because of the tree's movement speed nerf, but before that, the minus 20 movement speed, this duo was picked all the time. So we'll see if they go back to that again. And well, yeah, Razor good against Lycan as well. Kind of difficult to get a good static link on Lycan, but if you just wait for the Bat Rider to get a lasso off, to use the static link, you wait for a kinetic field, or you just use it the second he's running after you with a shapeshift online to at least force him to run away from it, like get out of the link range and then go back in. Then you waste maybe like 3, 4, 5 seconds of his life, plus you sap a little bit of damage from him. Something along those lines is going to be what the Razor has to play around. Or you can just sap the Legion Commander and get an easy sap going, I suppose. Gambit, next ban, mid laner, DP gets removed.
Radiant team ban.
Yeah, I like that. Annoying hero, great pushing hero. usually that's the thing with Razor carry that you lack a lot is pushing power. You can build acronyms on Razor, but I don't think in a game where you're against a heavy right-clicking hero like you want to
10
be forced
seconds
into an
remaining.
acronyms. I think it's much more suitable if you can get a mid laner that
5
can push, and
seconds
then the
remaining.
Razor can just go for stat items and lots and lots and lots of armor. So that's usually a little bit more fancy. Vega Squadron, the next ban. Well, it depends what hero they're picking. They banned the OD,
Radiant
so
team pick.
Astral saves against Lasso targets, for example. Plus the DK.
Dire
Well,
team pick.
that makes sense. OD is decent against Razor, fairly good. The Astral saves against Bad Rider, but most importantly, it's just because they wanted to pick Dragonite. They wanted to pick a mid hero that can push like the DP, but since the DP is not in the pool, they decided to go for the Dragonite, and you don't want to be playing Dragonite versus DP in the mid lane. That's not a matchup you want to be in. Both core heroes on the side of Vega Squadron have a very limited amount of intelligence, so an OD mid game where you get a little bit of intelligence stolen and then pop an ultimate, that can do a serious amount of damage to both.
Shadow Fiend.
All right. Well, that's that. Shadow Fiend gets picked up final for the side of Gambit Esports. What do you think about that? The matchup against DK is fine. DK is not a hero that necessarily pressures the enemy mid laner too much. It's just a hero that you can't really zone away. So picking a farming hero mid is understandable. Usually you don't really want to pick your Puck or your Quap or something like that. Just because of the DK lane, because you can't really kill them in the lane that easily. So you rather just want to get a hero that can outfarm the DK and then win by just getting more net worth. Plus, you make the Razor have to have multiple it makes Razor's life a little bit difficult as well, because if you run a one-core lineup, then it's super easy for the Razor, since you just have to static link that one person who's doing all of the physical damage. But in this situation, you have both Shadow Fiend and you have the Lycan, who will do a lot of right-click damage at some point in the game, and you can't static link both of them, so at least you always have one person who can do decent right-click damage. That's what Gambit will have to play around. Vega Squadron. Their lineup is probably the more standard and less greedy, so I would say that looks to be the best lineup in my eyes. I love the Night Stalker Bat Rider lane against Lycan, Tree, and Bane. I think that lane is going to be very, very difficult for Gambit to salvage. They will have to play very well in that lane. They'll probably have to trial it in the beginning, and I'm not sure how they're going to be able to salvage that exactly, because it's not going to be an easy lane, and if you have the Legion solo off lane, he's going to have absolutely no way of dealing with this Razor. So to me, it just seems like Vega Squadron have two lanes that seems fairly easy to win, and for the mid lane, that's an even lane. Like, if the DK just gets even farm with the Shadow Fiend, or even if he gets a little bit less farm than the Shadow Fiend, it doesn't really matter too much, because you should win the other two lanes. So as long as Vega Squadron don't lose the mid lane hard against the Shadow Fiend, then I don't think it's going to be easy for Gambit to get out of the laning stage in a good way. We'll see though. We'll see. It's a very greedy lineup, having a tri-core like this, Legion, Shadow Fiend, and Lycan, three heroes that all needs to get a good amount of farm before they can do anything. So I don't know, man. It seems too greedy.
30 seconds to battle.
something like the Puck or the Queen of Pain mid would have probably been more preferable, because then at least you have a hero that can rotate to the other lanes once he's level 6. And if the top lane is hard, you can like rotate and get a kill on the Batrider with a Dream Coil or Sonic Wave. But with a Shadow Fiend, you're pretty much just telling your team that, okay, well, if you lose the lane, I can't really do anything unless I get a good rune. So good luck, have fun.
Battle begins.
Is a great conductor.
Wait, okay. I didn't even pay attention to the fact that the Disruptor and the Night Stalker infested the enemy jungle, pushed away the Shadow Fiend, making sure that he could not get that rune. So that is 3 runes going to the side of Vega Squadron, making a nice little cheap move. Just understanding that, well, we have vision over here. We know that there's supports in the top lane. We know that they're starting with a tri-lane. So let's just make a move to the enemy Shadow Fiend's rune, pick it up. I'm a Night Stalker, I'm super tanky, so even if there were 3 people here, I'm probably going to survive regardless. In the mid lane, we have Mr. Slayer from Vega, pulling away Kumana a little bit, making sure that the DK gets the first creep wave for free, and indeed he is going to get all of these lasts with that Full Invade. It makes everything very, very easy. And top lane, in the meantime, we have a first blood, so okay, the Gambit trident makes it work. They get the first blood on that Batrider with the Orb of Venom, the Leech Seed from the Tree and Protector, not going for the Invis, but going for the Leech Seed, as this is actually a fairly good thing to do in some cases, because you know the Treant is in this lane. It's very obvious, so playing around being this and like sneaking up on people is not a thing that usually works that well. So if you get a Leech Seed off, you get a little bit more damage off. You can trade hits with the Night Stalker fairly easily, as you can see. Just clicking him in the face, plus using that Leech Seed is very nice. The Night Stalker will go for pull in the meantime, just make sure that the Batrider gets the experience that he so desperately needs. Slayer will be forced to use a little bit of mana to drag the creep away because he lost. Oh, he keeps losing aggro. He can't get them across those staircases. As this is actually one of the most annoying places to pull creeps. It's like you pull them up and then you go over here and then you have to like go back and keep hitting them until they go up on the stairs, because otherwise they want to be annoying. But that does secure the Batrider his level 2, so he can get his Firefly up and running. And that means he can jungle. He already has 1 camp stacked, so it's not like the Batrider is out of it. He's going to be able to get more than enough farm for himself. The Legion is level 2 in the meantime, almost level 3. Does have a couple of 7 lasts to his name, so he's doing okay for himself. He is doing okay for himself. Alright, so far so good. Just 1 kill so far. Mid lane is even at 17 for 17 lasts. Safe laners is doing evenly, and even the off laners is, well, I guess the Legion right now is ahead, but that's only until the point where Batrider decides to actually farm these camps, and looks like he wants to stagger it 1 more time before farming it. See, that's going to be the case. In the meantime, let's see Night Stalker taking a lot of damage here, trying to go in and contest this pull. That is a very, very interesting. How did they get that? Oh, I know. Never mind. The Night Stalker tried to do the same thing. He tried to go in and pull the creep wave to make sure the Batrider could get some easy creeps, as he's trying to secure the Batrider's lane as much as possible. And one of the ways you can do that is obviously just by having either the support or the Batrider himself constantly going behind the creep wave and dragging the creeps back. Normally, as a Batrider, it's always a risky thing to do because you're so easy to kill when you do that if they're sitting with both supports ready. But the Night Stalker is a fairly risk-free hero to do it on, since he's so goddamn tanky. He has boots, so killing him is not going to be easy. It's going to be nighttime very soon, in 15 seconds. So the Night Stalker will, well, I guess you can't really say he's going to be able to do anything because he's not level 2 yet, so he does not have Hunt of the Night ready yet. Meaning that he's actually going to not do anything in at least the first half of the nighttime because he's so under-leveled. Fairly unfortunate. Fairly unfortunate. He really needs to get that level up and running. It's nighttime and you don't have the movement speed on the Night Stalker. That is the worst. But they will go for 2-man smoking. They'll move into the mid lane. They'll try to set something up on that Shadow Fiend. In the meantime, we do have the Tree and Protector nearby, but he's not close enough to make any difference. He is trying to go invisible first. Kuman does have a double damage rune right now. And let's see, they roam around. They go for that smoke around. Bignum is going to be in their way though if they move that way. So they need to wait. Night Stalker does get his level 2 now. They just have the Hunter in the night. He's very fast. And they go in and try to set up on Kuman. Kuman is going to be fighting this one. He tries to go onto the Night Stalker. He does get the kill on the Night Stalker before dropping down. But he will die regardless. So still worth a trade-off for the side of Vega Squadron. I'm sure they're going to be fine with losing the Night Stalker level 2 to get the Shadow Fiend kill. They even force the Bane to make a TP rotation, so... Oh, is the Dragon Knight in danger? I don't think he's in danger. I'm not sure what this is. I mean... You just gave the Shadow Fiend, instead of having like 10 souls, he gets back to full souls because of that last hit. And I'm sure sending him back to the base is not really a good enough reason to give up your life. But also, you know, an interesting play from the Disruptor. Interesting play. Sometimes we do fancy things. Sometimes we try to do fancy things and then it just does not really seem worth it. So Kuman will go into the jungle. He's going to be trying to clear this triple stack, and that's a lot of hellbats that he's going to be taking down. Lots and lots of gold going his way. He's level 6 now. So I guess the DK is also at that point. Yeah, he's Treant Protector will leech a little bit of the experience in the mid lane in the meantime, as that's always what you want to do when you send your mid lane into the jungle. You just have a support leech the lane in the meantime, so you don't lose any value. The Lycan is going to be jungling a little bit. The Night Stalker is scouting him out though, but I'm not sure how much you can do about this. He's just going to be leeching a little bit of the experience. Might as well get something out of it, right?
Is under attack.
Looks like he might... Is he going to try and go for another pull through? I don't think the Battler needs any more help. He's level 5 right now. He has 3 points in this Firefly. He's getting decent amounts of CS, but despite that, the Legion is actually still ahead of him in terms of raw last hits and levels, just because he's been jungling. He had a decent start in the lane, and well, I guess the Razor's free farming. He's pulling a lot. He's farming the hard camps with the pulls that he's making, and the Legion Commander, he's just at the point where he can AFK in the jungle and get levels and farm without being contested too much, with that Iron Talon being available. 1,000 net worth lead on the side of Gambit right now. Nothing that can't be changed at all, but I would like to see Vega put more pressure on the lanes right now. I guess the Battler is focused on farming for the moment, as he's been stacking loads and he's once again farming another bunch of stacks with that 3rd point in this Firefly. He will use the Shrine as well, and that's a lot of levels suddenly coming in towards him. He's to be level 6 now. Almost level 7, so he can slowly start pressuring the Lycan. At this point, the Lycan cannot really stay solo in the lane, which is very annoying. Like, either you have to use your ultimate to try and escape when it gets too much against the Batrider, or you just, you know, you just push the lane and then you go into the jungle just to avoid him, because you don't really want to be farming up against a Batrider one-on-one for too long at a time, because if you ever get to have too many stacks on you, you could be killed, and that's always annoying. Lead comes out from the Bane, but always one fight doesn't actually want to pick up the rune, because I guess he just feared that if he picked up the rune, then the 2 seconds of value, like the value sleep, he would get off without being enough. We'll find the Batrider here. The Batrider is trying to go for pull through once again, and there's going to be, let's see, the Bane is trying to do something to stop him, but he cannot really do too much. Batrider does avoid that long race from the Shadow Fiend in the meantime. He's going to be leeching that experience, and always one of them needs to be a little bit careful now. He does have stake charges available, but Afterlife, he skills up his Flame Break, saving that point, and he gets the kill on the Bane. Now let's see the Lycan. He went for his ultimate, trying to run down the Batrider, trying to get a kill on him with that shapeshift being popped, but that is not going to be happening, as the Batrider just goes for TP out, and that is a 100-second cooldown used. Not getting any kills. The Batrider got a kill on the Bane, and the tier 1 tower in the bottom lane in the meantime will be taken down by G, making this rotation with his DK. Might even try and commit for something more, but I guess right now he will just go back to the mid lane, continue farming. They got a tower, they got a kill. They're going to be happy with how things are going. The Razor, not really showing us any big build right now. I imagine he will go for something like the Phase, Aquila drums into SNY kind of build, something along those lines. Seems like the build of choice for most people nowadays. Maybe Dragonlance, some people like Dragonlance as well, but I feel like this is a better drums game rather than Dragonlance. Just because you help it like Fireman Deathball push that you can make happen with the DK and the Razor, so drums seems more appropriate. DK is going for an armlet as well as the first big item. No Midas or anything like that, just straight into the big tank item, the Disruptor. Very, very low level. Same thing for the Night Stalker. These two heroes have not really seen too much light so far in the game. They haven't really been able to do that all that much. I mean, all three cores have just been pretty much just farming everywhere they went, so I guess this is difficult. Another sleep comes up on the Bane, and well, this time he will take the rune and just walk away. Legion Commander still just hitting creeps, trying to get up to that point where he can buy his Blink Dagger, but it's going to take him some time before he gets there. Lycan went for the Midas first item, so he's going to be very greedy, just trying to maximize his farm as much as possible. He will have his threats up soon enough, but that Midas means they can't really take any of the early fights, so whenever you see Vega try to go for push, try to take a tower, they will have to just dodge it out and just run away. Like they can split push, they can push the other lanes, perhaps, but they can never take a straight on 5 versus 5 fight, at least not until the next item is online on the Lycan. The smoke move from Vega Squadron did get seen by the side of Gambit, or at least it was expected, as the Lycan is running away all the way to the bottom lane, trying to avoid whatever might be happening. They don't see anyone from the side of Vega, they don't see anyone in the jungle, so they just assume that they must be smoked, they must be trying to make some move on them, and indeed they are correct. Not that Vega will lose too much time. They lost a little bit of time moving from the top to the mid lane, but they will get the 2 on top mid lane in the meantime. Big going for his ultimate with that overbuild. Shapeshift comes out from the Lycan. He might be able to get a kill on that DK. They get the duel off, and that is a big kill on the side of Vega Squadron. The tower did get taken down beforehand, but well, I said they couldn't take a 5-on-5 fight, but that was a 5-on-3 fight for the most part. That is something you can do. You can definitely punish overcommitment from the side of Vega Squadron. Well, leads into a kill. They can slowly start healing this tower up in the top lane, as well as Big Numbers doing his very best. He does have very good levels on this Tree and Protector, sitting in the mid lane for a big part of the game. 2 levels ahead of the enemy support right now, so having those 3 points on living armor definitely does make everything a lot easier for him in terms of keeping towers alive and in terms of keeping heroes alive. Lycan is going for a... Okay, he's going for a Mask of Madness. I don't mind that build. Maybe a little bit awkward to go for more attack speed when you already have a Midas, but I mean, Mask of Madness is definitely a very scary item on Lycan. When you get to have like Mask of Madness plus Armlet, that timing is insane. Like the attack speed mixed with the raw damage output of an Armlet, that's a scary amount of right click damage you can do. So see, that's going to be how they kill people easily in the fight.
This sustains.
The Legion Commander will get the first duel victory of the game, and he's going to be able to get his blink up in a few moments. He just needs a few more creeps, so we will have a blink up for the next fight. The Bat Runner in the top in the meantime will get his own blink up and running. He has most of the components for drums as well, but he decided to not finish it, as you know, just having a casual braces is completely fine as well. You don't need to upgrade it to drums. Yeah, the braces just gives you a little bit more tankiness and a little bit more intelligence, so you don't have to go back to base all the time when you're regening mana. Top lane, let's see the DK pop his ultimate. Tries to go for that tier 1 taunt. Meantime, in the background, the Raze being caught. He's a little bit in danger. He gets killed off by the Legion Commander. He might be taken down here with a shapeshift, and he's like, despite losing a lot of his damage, he's still going to be able to bring down the Razor. The Legion Commander is so goddamn low. Slayer's trying to chase him down. He will get the kill on him slowly but surely. Yeah, a few more clicks. That seems to be that Legion Commander. In the meantime, on the other side of the map, the fight is still being taken, and looks like it is being won. The Tree in Protector will be burned by the Bat Rider's Firefly. He's still alive on that DK. 4 dead on the side of Gambit. Kuman, last man standing, last man surviving. They did have a glimpse available on the Disruptor, but I guess with both G and the Night Stalker being low on resources, they don't want to commit for anything else. They will take the win, and yeah. 2 for 4. That's always a nice trade, even though both of the 2 people that Vega lost were cores. It is still a worthy trade-off, I would imagine. The Slayer goes in, tries to go on Q. It doesn't do any damage with it because this is like one of the most annoying things about playing a hero like Night Stalker against Stream Protector. That living armor just, you know, just shits on your damage. Just no damage being done with your Void anymore, and bursting people down with Void is actually a big part of Night Stalker in the early game. Being able to do decent damage with this hero is all based on his first spell, so it's fairly annoying. He does have the urn available to burn through some of those living armor charges. He's going for Solar Crest next, picking up the medallion in a moment, so not going for the like old school Academ's Rush type of builds. I don't like that, as it feels like whenever you go for Academ's first on Night Stalker without having any other items, you always seem to be so squishy in the fight. You don't seem to contribute to the fights other than just granting your team vision. Whereas if you go for like a Heaven's Halberd, a Solar Crest, a Pipe, something like that, you become so tanky and you do so much more in the team fights by keeping your teammates alive and making the enemy take more damage with the crest. So I like this build a lot. Shadow Fiend rushing towards the BKB on top of the Dragonlance. The Massive Madness is done on the Lycan, and he is indeed moving towards the Armored next. T1 down the bottom, and it's going to be pushed down. The Wolves did scout out the Razor a little bit, so I'm sure Gambit knows exactly what's going to be happening in the bottom lane. We have the DK trying to move in, almost having his Shadow Blade completed. The Treant Protector, he is invisible, sitting in the tree line with his overworld. Let's see the Razor, the Static Storm with Silent on that disruptor until in place, but it's going to be able to have enough damage to make this worth it. No, he's not. The Lycan still doing so much damage, just right-clicking without even using the shapeshift. He just right-clicked through the Razor. 161 damage stat, but he's still going to do, well, he's not doing any more damage right now as the Triple is actually taking absolutely no damage, but the Razor and the Bat Rider both already dead. The Triple will take it down as well, and the DK is all on his own, so he will be killed as well. He's trying to bring down Always Wanna Fly with him. He will be able to get that one kill, but it is 1 for 4. Definitely not a fight that Vega Squadron wanted to lose this badly. That was the end of the nighttime as well. So there's going to be a good 4-5 minutes where the Night Stalker is going to be much weaker. I guess it's not that big a problem because it kind of goes both ways, since the Lycan is also stronger than nighttime, but if anything, the Night Stalker relies much more on being able to, on having nighttime than Lycan does. Good fight for the side of Gambit. They get a tower, they got a bunch of kills, and everything is looking sweet. If we take a look at the net worth lead, we can see right now that the Shadow Fiend as well as the Lycan is the 2 men in charge. 1000 above the DK on the Shadow Fiend, and the Lycan is pretty much the same thing above the Razor. Legion Commander is ahead of the Bat Rider as well as the Bat Rider. We haven't really seen too much happen so far from this guy. He's trying to rush towards his eel, so it looks like Afterlife is really just playing the ultra greedy Battle Rider in this game, just trying to farm as much as he can, not really participating in too many fights, just, you know, focusing on getting items to farm himself. Now they go for 3-man smoking. They have the Static Storm available, they have the Lasso available. Let's see who they can find. Oh, this is not how you want to do it though, guys. Communication is key to win the fight. They go for the lasso, but they glimpsed him back before the lasso even came off. As that means Silent, he broke the lasso because of the range difference. They still get the kill with the Static Storm, but I mean, that was an easy pickoff. There was no one nearby. There was no way that Gambit could try and abuse that little fuck up to actually turn around the fight in their favor. They would have probably used the Static Storm anyways, but it just seems so weird when you make those kind of moves. Alright, Glimpse back on the chain. It's going to be taken down, being out of position here in the backline. Not understanding that Vega, they will happily dive for kills now that the Legion Commander is down. Just having one person out of the fight for the side of Gambit is more than enough for Vega's Squadron to go for that 5-man death and feel confident that they can win them. Razor is going to go for the Manta Style pickup as the first big item this game, just to be able to deal with the overgrowth more than anything, to get away from that route. All right. Akinen's Rush Disruptor. That's some confidence right there. That's a big item to expect to get at any point in this game, but It is definitely an item that can change the pace of the game heavily if you ever get it, but that's not now. That's maybe like 20 minutes from now at the earliest stage. See, Night Stalker medallion is completed. Halfway towards that solo crest as well. We do have a smoking coming up from the side of Gambit. They're showing the Lycan in the mid lane, so it does not seem as obvious they're going for the smoke, but instantly G is going to be able to get the Shadow Blade off. He does get Field Strip by the Bane, gets cancelled with a glimpse from the Disruptor. Nicely done there. Dragon Knight not going to be taken down easily by that duel. He's going to still be alive. He's going to be rooted up, and he will finally drop down, committing the ult, committing the Fiend Script, the Overgrowth. The BKB on the Shadow Fiend as well, Recover Souls, everything, just trying to get that kill. They did get the kill though, so in the end everything is fine as long as they actually bring down the DK, because if you use all of those ultimates and not kill the DK, that is going to be a setup for a horrible fight straight after.
This sustains. Gold remains.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
A small
Radiant's
kill,
middle
a tier 1
tower
tower. Just any kind of small trade-off that the Gambit can get at this point is actually so big, because they are the greedy team, they are the farming team. They have the BKB Shadow Fiend, the Dragon Knight, he's trying to get a butterfly next, just going for the, you know, big boy late game items on the Shadow Fiend. As once you have a little bit of stats plus the BKB, it doesn't really matter. You just want to be able to do damage with your next item, so the butterfly is logical. Legion Commander is rushing towards the BKB, does not want to go for the Blade Mail, and I can understand that. Blade Mail is never really a bad item, but there's not really any reason to go for Blade Mail this game, because both the Razor and the DK is insanely tanky, so the Blade Mail reflection is not really going to be that useful, and they don't really do any burst damage, so you don't really get... they don't kill themselves with a Blade Mail, so you rather just want to focus on getting the duel off without dying, and maybe doing something useful in the fights by having like a Heaven's Halberd afterwards or something like that. Why was it paused? Okay, just a little bit of lag. Disconnecting. Reconnecting. Back. True support right here, always wanna fly. He knows that the next items he's going to be able to acquire for himself is going to be wards, wards, and wards. Whereas Big Num, he's maybe trying to be a little bit more fancy, trying to go for the medallion as well. He's very underfarmed for a tree though, only level 9, whereas the Night Stalker, despite having probably one of the worst starts I've seen, like being level 1 at the first night time, he's been able to recover pretty nicely. 5k net worth, he's been able to get a couple of last hits, he has his urn, his medallion, almost a full solo crest, so he's not as underfarmed as he appeared to be in the first little bit of the game. Bad Rider will finish his Eel Sub as well now. He can just buy at any point. Not going for the 4-star first is fine this game, I think, because much like when you play against Axe, you kind of want to have an Eel Sub as fast as possible against Legion Commander. Just so you can, you know, self heals is always nice against roots and whatnot, but it's mostly just because the Bad Rider wants to be able to cancel the enemy's Fiend Script without using his lasso forward. So the Eels is nice for that, and you also want to be able to maybe control the Lycan a little bit more while he doesn't have BKB, maybe use it on the Legion Commander just in case his right click damage is actually scary in the duel. I don't know if that's ever going to be a point if he duels the DK or the Razor, but we'll see. Usually when you're in this kind of matchup, if the Legion goes for a duel on the Razor or the DK, you rather just want to kill him. You just want to like focus him down, use the Solar Crest on him, and then just burst him, rather than actually eel him and delay the duel. But we'll see. Smoke comes out from the side of Vega Squadron. They're going to be moving together as a team. Nighttime is up and running and all that, so Night Stalker is going to be very, very powerful right now. Mantis Style is ready on the race. They're going to find the Lycan. This is the one catch they want to get, the best possible catch they could even ask for, as the Legion is nowhere near in position to be able to purge off that lasso. So They get a free kill on Darksec on that Lycan, and with 40 seconds on the sideline, there's no buyback available. That means the T2 tower in the bottom lane will be taken down without a sweat being dropped from this Vega Squadron lineup. Just a good pickoff. Very, very nice pickoff. They had vision there, so they knew what they were getting themselves into. They saw the Lycan, and well, then they just go for it. They get the kill. Very back and forth game for sure. The Lycan will very soon have his BKB though. Once you have the BKB on the Lycan with the BKB on the Shadow Fiend, maybe waiting for the next item on the Shadow Fiend as well, getting at least the Eagle song so you have that pure damage output. You don't really want to sit with a BKB Dragon and Shadow Fiend with 3000 gold on him, not using any of that gold for a little bit of damage, but either way, double BKB is definitely going to be a very big peak for the side of Gambit, so we'll see if they can play around it. They still need to get a good initiation off though. It's not just based on getting the BKBs alone. Like, both teams can at any point win a fight against the other team. It's really just about getting the first big jump and be favorable for your side, and they can win. And in that situation, you kind of have to favor the Vega Squadron lineup, because you have a Bat Rider with a Night Stalker versus a Legion as a main initiator. So Gambit goes in, they get a nice overthrow out. They go sleep on the Bat Rider as well. They get the first kill on him and drop it straight away. The Vega Squadron to be alive. He has his Fiend Script available. He goes for the real stab, and he will go for the Fiend Script on the Bat Rider, but that is going to be cancelled by Slayer on the Night Stalker. Then the Razor is going to be killed with a duel. In the back line, still Gambit. They've already taken 2 kills. They're trying to go for the Bat Rider. He's just sitting on the high ground, trying to duke away from everything, and he will be able to get himself out with that blink away before the Lycan was close enough to hit him. The shapeshift ending a little bit too soon. Now the Night Stalker is going to be scouted out, but he can get himself away, flying over the trees, and then he's out of there as well. So maybe not the biggest fight in the world, but still a small fight that goes in the way of Gambit. Did they have to use PTPs? Yeah, they didn't have to use. And that is the Eagle song picked up on the Shadow Fiend as well. Not the biggest fight in the world, but you know, it's more dual damage for the Legion. The Razor got killed, so he didn't get anything done in that fight. And Razor is one of those heroes that actually have a pretty hard time farming themselves back into the game, especially when you're playing against heroes that farm much faster than you. So he doesn't really want to be the one dying in these fights. I mean, neither DK nor Razor is heroes that can outfarm Shadow Fiend and Lycan in a normal game scenario. So if there's ever a trade-off, then it usually will favor Gambit, just because they can farm much faster. Mucho faster. And looks like the Night Stalker is going to go for the Heaven's Halberd as the next item. More evasion for himself, makes him a lot more tanky, and I like this build. Solar Crest is nice just so you can actually get some damage, because both Razor and DK is not really any burst heroes, so having negative armor for the enemy just helps them actually do enough damage to kill supports within a few hits, and not have to waste like 10 seconds of time to just kill a support. And well, the Heaven's Halberd, make sure the Lycan doesn't hit in the shapeshift. You need to use it pre-BKB though, or you have to wait until those 10 seconds of BKB is over and then use it. So the Lycan will still be able to do a lot in the fight when the BKB is completed, but you know, the BKB charges will eventually be low, and the Heaven's Halberd will always be useful, right? I wouldn't even be surprised to see a second Halberd come out. Not from the Razor perhaps. It's not that uncommon to see Razors build Halberd either. It's because both the Shadow Fiend and the Lycan will do insane amounts of right-click damage, so having multiple Halberds does not seem like a bad idea. And the Disruptor is not really going to be able to get any gold. DK is going for an Assault Class, more armor for the team, which is something they desperately do need. Bat Rider does have a gem on him now as well, and they're going for Roshan with the Solar Crest. Go for a smoke straight after, so they want to try and take a fight, but that is on top of the shrine. There's going to be a vision given, and see they're trying to go in the background, they're trying to find a jump. He's going to be jumped, yes, he gets lassoed up, he gets put on a cliff. He's going to be stuck there, he goes to the BKB, he's going to be hit by Outlaw, making sure he cannot blink away, even though he is BKB'd, and that is going to be the Bane taken down. Let's see the Dragon that's going to be next on the menu. Dragon Knight dropping down very low. He does go for the Shadow, but he will be able to survive for now. They don't have any detection right now, but the Razor's already dead. The Night Stalker's dead as well, so Darkseid with that fresh new BKB is going to be able to secure the fight, even though the initiation looked very good for the side of Vega Squadron, making sure that Legion was not part of the fight at all, just being stuck on a cliff with a full BKB duration. But even in that scenario, they don't really win the fight on the side of Vega. They lose their core and they only get a support for it. That was the 10-second BKB on the DK as well, his ultimate being committed. And again, it's the Razor who dies. It's every single fight the Razor's the one dying. And at this point, it is very, very, very not fun. You can't keep this up. He's actually going to go for a Assault Crest himself. Or actually, no, he did. Yeah, well, I mean, I'm sure the DK was like, dude, I'm getting AC. Don't get AC. And then he decides to go for Shiva's God instead, which is a perfectly fine item. Doesn't give him any right-click damage, but at least he gets a little bit tankier because he definitely needs something to survive in these fights. He does not have enough survivability at the moment. The Lincoln Sphere would only be a temporary fix if he were to go for it. One, they can pop the Lincolns with the Bane very easily, so they can still get the duel off. It just makes it a little bit more annoying, and if you go for Lincolns, that's 5,000 gold, that doesn't give you any armor, so I feel like going for the Shiva's God is definitely the better option. It's usually a lot better to go for an item that will always be useful for you, rather than going for an item that will only help you if the enemy doesn't actually pop your Lincoln properly. The Gambit in mid lane, they smoke up, the move trying to jump, they go right on the Razor, he pops his Mantis out, he's going to be able to survive long enough. The BKB get popped as well from Treasure Cat on the Legion Commander, but he's not going to be able to figure out which was the real Razor, and he's going to be pulled back. The BKB will end, he's going to be the main focus perhaps, and I thought it was going to go for him. Razor, a little bit goes for the Static Link on that Lycan, but the Lycan goes in, takes down the Night Stalker, the Stalker's going to be dead as well. And that BKB is going to run out. Lycan's still doing a lot of work. He's going to focus the BK down. He gets rooted up in place by Bignum, sitting around these trees. And that is going to be the duel coming out from Treasure Cat. He gets the kill on the DK. And that is 3 down from the side of Vega Squadron, as it just seems like they're not able to take these fights. They're not able to take these fights. They don't lose the Battle Rider, so the gem is never really lost. But that is going to be Roshan going in the way of Gambit, and that is a big net worth being climbing up their way. As the Razor just seems way too far behind at this point to take these fights. And what seemed like a very greedy lineup from the side of Gambit is working out now, because they weren't really punished as much as as much as you would hope in the early game. And now it's late game. The Midas Lycan is paying off. He's not really been killed at any points in the game. At the moment, he is sitting with only 2 deaths. The Shadow Fiend has 1 death to his name, so they haven't really been punished. He has his AC as the next item, the BKB up and ready. The Butterfly on the Shadow Fiend. He's moving for a Hurricane Pike next, and he will go for Daedalus on top of that, so it's just going to be raw damage coming out from here on out. Maybe he goes for Satanic as well at some point, as that's you know, a good mix between damage and stats, but we'll see. Gem has been picked up by Bignum as well, so he doesn't have to worry about any sneaky walls being placed from Vega Squadron to give them the advantage in the fights. As at the moment, it just seems like as long as Gambit gets a good initiation off, or at least they don't get like jumped in a bad position, then they should be able to win the fights. So a Gem makes that much easier. T2 on the bottom lane will be taken down by Gambit. Just, you know, whatever little bit of net worth you can find in the map. Looks like in the meantime, top tower is going to be pushed down by the side of Vega Squadron, trying to get something, but they are going to be forced back to base as the Shadow Fiend, with that Aegis being available on their side. He's going high ground. They want to go in. The Battle Rider is going to be able with a lasso. He does have his force off available now as well, so he can pull someone back. Let's see if the Legion Commander is ready to purge someone off. Or if, okay, goes to the lasso. Oh, and the Legion Commander is going to be able to get it off, but they get dragged a little bit in the meantime. Darkseid is going to pop his CKB and his ultimate to get away from that Static Link. 133 damage was stabbed from the Razor. The Disruptor has been taken down again. Never ever getting to use that Static Storm without dying for it. Poor little Disruptor, he's not really been having the best game of his life. The Dragon Egg gets taken down with the Legion Commander's duel as well, and that is going to be the Melarax being removed from the game. So Gambit win a nice fight, and that Disruptor, holy moly. It's not really been the best game for Silent. It's really not been his best performance this game. been picked off most fights. He's never really getting to do anything, and I mean, even if he gets to get a decent static storm off, you can't really do that because you have to static storm after the BKB's end. So you have to survive in the fight for the like 5 seconds of duration where the BKBs are active, and then you have to, you know, look for that big boy static storm, like you win the after fight or whatever you want to call it. But that's apparently a little bit more a little bit of a tough ask for a Tranquil Boots only disruptor. No defensive items, no nothing, no Ghost Scepter, no Glimmer Cape, so there's not much he can do to keep himself alive at this point. The Razor does have that Shiva's Guard completed, moving towards a Butterfly next, just trying to get some damage and tankiness, as it's not enough to just get tanky, you also need to actually eventually kill the enemies, so Butterfly might not be a bad idea. It seems like they're struggling in both regards, both surviving and killing, so a good mix of both is what they need. Assault Crafts on the DK will also be very, very nice, but that's a lot of farm difference on the two sides. The Shadow Fiend sitting on 21k net worth now versus the 13 and 12,000 net worth Dragonite and Razor. So this guy is not messing around anymore. His Pike is up, his Crystallis is up. He almost has a full Daedalus as well. I'm not sure what you actually do to stop Kuma at this point, as he's going to be moving up the high ground. He's going to be pushing and taking down that TFB tower in moments. BKB gets popped by the Legion. He tried to go for the initiation, but he got hit by that plasma field at the back edge of it, so he didn't really get to go for that blink duel that apparently he was hoping to go for. And he tells his team, get back. I used my BKB. Let's not take any unnecessary risks. Let's just go for the top shrine. Let's take the T2 tower on the top lane. There's no need to push things more than you need to. In a good position right now, as long as they don't throw anything away. It very much seems like the game is in the bag for the side of Gambit. Vega Squadron, they are on the last little bits of, in the last inches of hope. The Ghost Scepter is up on the Disruptor, so at least he's going to be able to have a little bit more to stay in the fight, survive a few more seconds. What else? Nitro Heaven's Halberd, actually very close to being completed. That's going to be a nice item upgrade, especially because the BKBs are getting fairly low. 6 seconds on the Legion Commander, 7 on the Lycan, and 5 seconds on the Shadow Fiend. So that's going to be nice, especially with the Daedalus now being done on the Shadow Fiend. If you can get a Halberd on him before he pops his BKB, that is going to be necessary to do anything, because I don't think you're going to have fun against this Shadow Fiend otherwise. Like the first few seconds of the fights before the static link starts slapping any damage, those hits is going to be painful as all hell. The Aegis is gone, but let's see. Bad Rider just lingering about in the woods, maybe looking for, well, probably just scouting out what's happening, not really looking for an initiation, as the team is not in a position to do anything about it. But that is the Firefly being committed. He does not have Firefly now, and well, the Shadow Fiend is just going to work. The Wolves will give him a little bit of vision, and that tier 3 tower is going to drop down very, very fast. Mid lane is going to be pushed out by Lucius from the DK, but looks like this Shadow Fiend is going to take down the tier 3 tower without being contested at all. DK maybe looking for a wraparound. Night Stalker pops his nighttime, but like we all know, that's not a thing that the Night Stalker will ever mind. What's called the Lycan will ever mind, because that means the house is much better. So he's like, thank you very much, sir. Half-Life, trying to go for a wraparound, maybe trying to catch someone on the way out, but he's not going to get the chance to do so, as Gambit will just back themselves up as 5, or maybe not. The Shadow Fiend lingering about farming the camps before moving back. He's going to farm them, he's going to TP out, not going to test, he's not going to take any more risks that he doesn't have to. Alright, and the next item is going to be that Satanic, so he picks up the Morbid Mask, and I don't know, this is like the perfect Shadow Fiend game. You can just, you don't have to go for any defensive items, you don't need like a Lingens, you don't need anything like that. You just go for right click items, you go for a few stat items, you're super tanky. The enemy has no way of dealing with you right now. He's going to be level 25 in a moment, which gives him that extra little bit of attack range as well, which is going to be nice. And yeah, I don't know what you do against him. AC is done on the Lycan. The Lincoln Sphere is going to be his next item of choice. He doesn't want to be static linked every single fight, so to avoid that from happening. Treant Protector has a Solar Crest available as well. The Legion Commander with a Shadow Blade moving back towards the Blade Mill now, as I mean, a blade mail is always useful. You can get it at any point in the game, and it's going to do a lot of work as a Legion commander, so I don't mind getting it now. What else is happening? Razor. Talisman of Evasion. So, you know, baby steps towards that butterfly. Baby steps. Dragonite still trying to finish that AC. He even poured out for the Hyper, so he's really committed on completing the AC rather than anything else. They do not have buybacks available on anyone. Any of the cores inside of Vegas run by the looks of things. Let's see, buyback status, that's it. So let's see, the Batrider is the only one with buyback available on the side of Vegas Squadron right now. Trying to go for an Aghanim set as next item so he can get a little bit more damage his way and perhaps carry a fight or two. I mean, if you get a lasso off on like a Legion plus Shadow Fiend or Legion plus Lycan, that can do a lot of work in the fights for sure. Even like a Legion plus Bane, honestly, just controlling two people in the fights where one of them is Legion is to be very useful, because obviously if you don't control the Legion, then he will just purge off the lasso. And if the Legion is smart, well, if the Legion knows exactly how the Aghanim's Batrider lasso works, then if you just purge the first lasso, then the second lasso will be purged as well. So, kind of fancy way it works. At least that's what I think. So most spells do that. Like for example, if you get glimpsed, then both lassos gets purged and stuff like that. So I'm pretty sure press the attack works in the same way, that if you purge the first person, then the second person gets purged as well. I might be wrong though. I have not tested this. See, Smokegang comes up inside. Oh, not like this, guys. Smoke did not break. This is the desperation coming out from Vega. They know they're in a very tough spot, and the first thing that happens is they run into an illusion, the smoke doesn't break, and then they just try to kill the illusion. Obviously the Razor gets through, not to get taken down. That's the first thing that happens inside of Vega's Squadron. He does not buyback available, but this is looking bad. Nitro gets picked up, lasso comes out, but Batrider is going to be snapped up and controlled full dead on the side of Vega's Squadron as they just get mauled down. Failing that initiation on the illusion just means that, well, the fight is lost. Gambit gets to know where they are on the map. They can set up for a team fight, and that was a very easy team fight indeed to execute. So Gambit Esports will win the series against Vega. Very nicely done there. Vega supposedly being one of the teams that you would be scared to play against in the CIS regional qualifiers, but Gambit, they're showing that they definitely have a say in what happens. They're going to be one of the bigger teams so far in their first series, I believe. So GG, well played by them.